Tonight, several European leaders are condemning Russia after it attacked Ukraine with hypersonic ballistic missile. Germany's chancellor called it a, quote, reckless escalation.
They travel so fast and maneuver so unpredictably that even the world's most advanced missile defenses struggle to keep up. Russia's hypersonic missiles have transformed modern warfare, creating unprecedented challenges for detection, tracking, interception, and defense. For decades, military powers raced to build faster missiles. But then, something changed. Russia began developing a new class of weapons that didn't just fly fast. They seemed to rewrite the rules entirely. These weapons became known as hypersonic missiles, and almost overnight, they started attracting attention from defense experts around the world. A hypersonic missile is generally defined as any weapon capable of traveling at speeds above Mach 5. That's more than 5 times the speed of sound. To put that into perspective, by the time many radar systems detect one of these weapons, it may already be closing in on its target. And that tiny reaction window is exactly what makes them so dangerous. But speed alone isn't what makes this story so important. Russia spent years investing heavily in hypersonic technology, treating it as a strategic priority. While many countries were still testing concepts, Moscow was pushing toward operational deployment. Russian military planners believed these weapons could give them a major advantage against advanced missile defense networks built by rival powers. And this is where it gets interesting. Russia didn't rely on just one hypersonic weapon. It developed several. The Avangard hypersonic glide vehicle, the air-launched Kinzhal missile, and the sea-based Zircon missile all serve different purposes. Together, they form a growing arsenal designed to challenge traditional defenses from multiple directions. But the real question is, why are existing defenses struggling so much against them? To understand the problem, we need to look at how missile defense systems were originally designed. Most were built to stop ballistic missiles, weapons that follow a largely predictable path. Once launched, their trajectory can be calculated, tracked, and monitored as they travel toward their target. Radar systems lock onto these missiles and feed tracking information to interceptors. Those interceptors are then launched toward a projected collision point. It sounds simple, but it's actually an incredibly complex process that depends on one crucial factor. The target must behave predictably. But here's the twist. Hypersonic missiles don't play by those rules. They move faster, change direction more often, and spend much of their flight in regions where traditional tracking systems struggle to maintain continuous contact. Suddenly, defense systems designed for yesterday's threats are facing something completely different. Now hold on, because this is where things become truly alarming. Imagine you're a military commander monitoring incoming threats. Under normal circumstances, you might have valuable minutes to analyze data, confirm a target, decide on a response, and launch an interceptor. Those minutes can make all the difference. A hypersonic missile changes that equation instantly. Traveling at speeds exceeding Mach 5, and in some cases much faster, it can cover enormous distances in an incredibly short amount of time. What once took several minutes may now happen in a fraction of that window, and every second lost becomes critical. But speed creates another problem that many people overlook. It's not just about the missile reaching its target faster, it's about compressing the entire decision-making process. Detection, identification, tracking, authorization, and interception all have to happen almost simultaneously. One delay anywhere in the chain can create a cascading failure. And then there's the human factor. Military leaders must make potentially world-changing decisions under extreme time pressure. Information arrives rapidly. Situations evolve by the second. The margin for error shrinks dramatically. In some scenarios, commanders may have only moments to determine whether a threat is real and what response is required. But even that isn't the craziest part, because speed alone isn't what makes these weapons so difficult to stop. Traditional ballistic missiles generally follow predictable arcs through the sky. Once their path is calculated, defenders can estimate where they'll be minutes later. That's the foundation of modern missile defense. Hypersonic weapons introduce an entirely different challenge. Instead of simply following a fixed trajectory, many can maneuver during flight. They can adjust direction, alter altitude, and make unexpected course corrections while moving at extraordinary speeds. And suddenly, those carefully calculated interception points start becoming unreliable. Think about trying to hit a target that's already moving faster than almost anything in the atmosphere. Now imagine that target changing direction while you're trying to predict where it will be next. That's the problem defenders face. Every maneuver forces tracking systems to update calculations, sometimes over and over again. And this is where everything starts to break down. The more unpredictable the flight path becomes, the harder it is for radar networks, sensors, and interceptors to stay synchronized. What looks like a successful interception opportunity one moment can disappear the next. And that constant uncertainty is one of the biggest reasons Russia's hypersonic missiles remain such a formidable challenge. But here's what makes the problem even worse. Most missile defense systems were never designed to deal with weapons flying in the exact zone where hypersonic glide vehicles operate. Traditional air defense systems focus on lower altitude threats. Ballistic missile shields focus on targets much higher in the sky. Hypersonic weapons slip right between those layers, creating a dangerous gap that defenders are still trying to close. And this is where things start getting messy. As these vehicles race through the atmosphere at extreme speeds, they create tracking challenges that ground-based radars weren't built for. Mountains, the curvature of the Earth, and the missile's changing altitude can all affect radar coverage. One moment, the target is visible. The next, it begins slipping out of view. The atmosphere itself creates problems too. Unlike ballistic missiles that spend much of their flight high above the Earth, hypersonic glide vehicles remain within the atmosphere while maneuvering. That combination of speed, altitude, and constant movement makes maintaining a clean track incredibly difficult. And when defenders start losing visibility, interception becomes much more than a weapons problem. It becomes a tracking problem. Now imagine trying to intercept a target you can't continuously see. That's the nightmare facing modern missile defense networks. Successful interception depends on maintaining constant awareness of where the missile is, where it's going, and how it's moving. Lose that picture for even a short period of time, and the entire engagement can start falling apart. The challenge is that radar coverage isn't one giant blanket covering the planet. Instead, it's made up of multiple systems with different ranges and viewing angles. Hypersonic missiles can move rapidly between these coverage zones, creating moments where tracking data becomes less certain. Those moments may only last seconds, but at hypersonic speeds, seconds are everything. Military planners call this maintaining target custody. As long as sensors keep updating the missile's location, defenders have a chance. But once that custody is broken, interceptors may be left chasing outdated information. And that's why many experts believe tracking, not interception, is actually the hardest part of stopping hypersonic weapons. And this is where the next chapter begins. If ground-based radars can't always maintain continuous tracking, then maybe the answer isn't on Earth at all. Maybe it's in space. That's the thinking behind the Hypersonic and Ballistic Tracking Space Sensor Program, better known as HBTSS. Instead of relying solely on ground systems, these satellites are designed to watch hypersonic threats from orbit, providing continuous observation throughout their flight. The goal is simple: never lose sight of the target. By tracking maneuvering missiles from space, future defense networks could receive constant updates even as targets change direction. Many defense experts see systems like HBTSS as a critical piece of the future missile defense architecture. Because before you can destroy a hypersonic missile, you first have to find it, and keep finding it. But here's the twist that often gets overlooked. Not everyone agrees that hypersonic missiles are truly unstoppable. Difficult to stop? Absolutely. Impossible? That's where the debate begins. Around the world, engineers are already developing new technologies designed specifically for this challenge. One concept is the glide phase interceptor, a weapon intended to engage hypersonic glide vehicles during a vulnerable stage of their flight. At the same time, advances in artificial intelligence are helping tracking systems process enormous amounts of sensor data faster than humans ever could. History offers an interesting lesson. Every major military breakthrough eventually faces a countermeasure. Today's advantage often becomes tomorrow's challenge. Hypersonic missiles currently hold a significant edge, but future sensors, interceptors, AI-driven tracking systems, and space-based networks may eventually narrow that gap. The race is far from over. Russia's hypersonic missiles represent one of the toughest military challenges ever created. Their speed, maneuverability, and unpredictable flight paths give them a major advantage today. But history shows every revolutionary weapon eventually meets a counter. The question is not if defenses will evolve, but when.